last year, Perik Bet, in this very special kuntrus we've been learning, Achilasam Shel Yisrael, from Rav Kivak, Shlita. And I want to just to start off this year, just jump into this unbelievable thing he says a little bit in the middle of the chapter, and then come back and go again in order. He says, if you look at the bottom of page Yud Gimel, in here, I can also I can send it to you on what's it called? Do you have it? Do you want me to send it to you? I can send it to people. Sure. Okay, just a second. Pause that. The bottom of page Yud Gimel, he says an extraordinary thing. It really in a certain way, so it kind of encapsulates the sort of new perspective that we're trying to bring in with this learning. Is it, by the way, cool enough in here? Do you guys want to make it? It's good enough. It's good. Okay. Okay. A little cooler. Yeah. You can put it down to 23 maybe. I'm gonna make it too cold. Whatever. Okay. You just press minus. It should beep though. It didn't register. Oh, there you go. Okay. So he says, Kol tam sheyesh v'machal, every taste that there is in food, hu chelke elokus, is like little chunks of godliness. Ve'isa shenel mubo, that have been hidden within there. Ve'isa b'sfarim hakadosh, and it's brought in the holy svarim. She's a bala ramez ladam, it's brought to hint to the person, she's oira, that he should awaken, li'tom olam haba, to taste a little bit of olam haba. Like in your coffee, with which one? Oat milk. Thank you. Tastes great. And then he says this unbelievable thing. By tasting a good taste, a sweet taste, it doesn't have to be dafka sweet. If you like spicy, for me, like my Oneg Shabbos, but it used to be when I was in Montreal, I hated spicy foods. Then when I made Aliyah, I became like a Middle Eastern guy. Yeah, it's geweldig. It's geweldig. My mom, I remember seeing a guy in Montreal who the family would bring out different kinds of hot peppers. He was like, I'm so excited. And I was like, what are you even like? This is not good. Bring me some chocolate cake. I was not understanding it at all. But then after I made Aliyah, mamish, my whole teva changed. And for me, one of the most exciting parts of the Shabbos table is the charif. My wife makes different kinds. She fries it up. She whatever, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. Any case, so when they say arev, sweet over here, it means whatever floats your boat, So he says, Yuchal benakil hamin. By tasting the good taste of food, you can easily come to faith, to believe what it says in the holy books, that there's such a thing, that olam haba is going to be delicious. There's a delight in olam haba. V'chein isa, now here's the bombshell thing. The next thing he says is so unbelievable. V'chein isa b'likutim yekarim mehal magid mimezrich. Remember that is the Magid Mezrich was the Baal Shem Tov's most famous Talmud, and the main link in the chain to the next generation. Even though he only learned with the Baal Shem Tov for something around 2 years or less, but everything he was he just he then the Magid was the Rebbe of a whole unbelievable group of people, including the Berditchever and the Noam Elimelech and the Balatanya and all these unbelievable people who then took Chassidus to the next level. So the Maggid Mezrich said, that at a time when a person is in a smallness of consciousness, the kashelo, we're going to speak more about that consciousness thing after this. The kashelo lehalos al daitoi haoneg l'Hashem yisbarach. It's hard for him to imagine the delight, the bliss of connecting with God. As ayikach machal matok. So the Maggid Mezrich, go out for a sushi or whatever, whatever your thing is, right? Whatever, mom is just unbelievable. The Rebbe, the Maggid, the Rebbe of all Rebbes. Says if you're in a small constricted place and you're having trouble connecting to the bliss of the divine, so mamish, go get whatever you love, and it'll raise your consciousness back to Hashem. What an unbelievable thing! It's so important that we hear that the biggest tzaddikim are telling us this. It's an unbelievable thing. it will bring you to feel delight in your soul. Vet hargashat oneg zu, and from that delight, yuchal lehalot laoneg de kedusha, you'll be able to climb back up to the bliss of holiness. Mamish like the Jacob's ladder kind of. It's all connected. All the delight in this world is connected, and you can like take an elevator from like the sushi up to like Gan Eden at Elyon Mamish. Wow, such an amazing thing. Nobody like it just right? It's just like a breath of fresh air, like a nice cold mikvah on a hot day like today. And then we'll just read this next little piece where he brings in from the Baal Shem Tov about really reorienting your whole life around this concept. He says, "V'chein buha b'shem Baal Shem Tov." It's also brought in the name of the Baal Shem Tov. Adam hargasha shel tanug. Every time you have some kind of a nice feeling, like the air conditioning goes on good, or whatever it is, and the heat wave, my analogies are. Sheyeda. I had him also yesterday, 2 days ago. I was walking down the shuk around 11 a.m. and there was a cloud over the sun, and there was a breeze that went through the whole shuk, and I was like, it was the first time I felt cool outside in like a long time. Anyways, so when that happens, every time you have some kind of a nice feeling, Yedas is the Baal Shem Tov. Shezeh b'hashgacha pratis, that this was sent to you personally from Hashem. Kedei l'ramez lo she'is'ora le'ahava es Hashem, to awaken you to love God. It's the kind of Torah that our generation needs. We just need so much, just strengthening and just like, okay, discipline and getting beyond and curbing our desires and so on, but we also need this Torah like so badly. And it's primary. It's primary. Like all that other stuff we understand. This we don't understand. We don't think that it's religious to like ever enjoy anything. Some of this. It's wild, absolutely wild. By the way, one place for the ladies in this year and for whoever, if they were lighting Shabbos candles, there's an opinion in the Achronim. I remember who it was. I think it may be a sefer called Tehillah LeDavid. There's an opinion in the Achronim that when you make the bracha Shekichan Mitzvos Sivan Lahadlik Ner Shel Shabbos, some people say Shel Shabbos Kodesh. When you lighting the Shabbos candles, you can have in mind, because there's according to in Shabbos, in any case, there's a machlokes, Rashi and Tosfos. What's the source of the mitzvah of lighting candles? One, the Gemara also says Shalom Bayis, which is a practical outcome, but for Rashi and Tosfos, it's because there are two rabbinic mitzvahs. The Rambam, when he lists the mitzvahs of Shabbos, he says there are two deraisa mitzvahs of Zachor and Shamor, and that there are those are the two biblical mitzvahs of remembering Shabbos by Kiddush, and Shamor, meaning not doing malacha, not doing the forbidden creative acts on Shabbos. And then there's two rabbinic mitzvahs, which is honoring Shabbos and delighting in Shabbos. So Rashi and Tosfot, one says kavod, and one says oneg, one says honor, one says delight. And one of the Achronim, Mamish, says, he asks, and it's a famous kind of a question for the Achronim to ask, when we have a mitzvah where there's no bracha on it, like why not? And could you find somewhere where maybe there is a bracha on it? Like for instance, a famous one is, how come there's no bracha on giving tzedakah? And many answers for that, but one is that like it may embarrass the poor person, or somehow mess with the interpersonal chesed that's supposed to be going on. So he asked, like, how come there's no bracha on Oneg Shabbos? And he says that you should have kavana when you light the candles, that the bracha on the lights, because the candles are there to add oneg to your eating experience. It's a candlelight dinner. It's much better. It's much more delightful. And so you should have in mind that you're making a bracha on delighting in all the delights of Shabbos. That's what one of the Achronim Mamish says. Chaim. So just, it's another way to kind of bring into our consciousness that delight and enjoyment is religious, and And mamish, from this magid and this Baal Shem, it's a whole, the Baal Shem Tov really catapults it into like your whole life. Every little nice thing that you feel, is a specific thing sent by Hashem to you personally to awaken love of God. And so Malek, so hey, so okay, this idea of smallness of mind, katnus hamochin, and godless hamochin that we were just mentioning. And I'm just going to repeat it for you two guys just came in because it's too good. The Maggid of Measure says, you find yourself in a small place of smallness, constricted consciousness, and you can't imagine anymore that it's blissful to connect to God. He says, go eat something that you'll enjoy. Take machal matok. That's the advice of the Maggid. Go out for sushi, whatever it is, whatever floats your boat. And that the delight that you're gonna experience there is going to bring you back to godless hamoichin, to expansive consciousness, to remembering the bliss of being connected to Hashem. So unbelievable. It's mamish sulam Yaakov. All the delight in the world is interconnected, and you can like the Maggid Mesha says, don't be afraid. Step into that elevator and press up, right? Well, it's so amazing. Where do we hear? Like the Maggid is the Rebbe of all Rebbes, is saying, if you're in a constricted place, go eat something you'll enjoy. That was amazing. It's amazing. And then we just saw from the Pashavtim, say every time that you have any pleasurable experience your whole life, know that it was sent to you by Hashem to awaken you to love of God. Incredible. So I want to share with you because we're now learning like this list. I skipped over to the middle of the list because it's like such an incredible. That one is like such a kind of a bombshell of a thing, a flower bomb, l'chaim. That a glitter bomb. So in any case, I just want to backtrack. We're in Perek Bet now, where Rav Kivak is giving us all these little nuggets. Each one is a whole meditation in of itself. Because as he mentioned, as we saw last time from the Zohar HaKadosh, that Shas Achila, Shas Milchama, that the time of eating is a time of war. It's a time of to not let it just be a stimulus response, to let it be a conscious experience. And just like in war, you need all different kinds of weapons, all different kinds of strategies and so on, like the football, like Statue of Liberty play and so on, like the whole thing. You need all different kinds of strategies. So it's good to have in your pocket a bunch of different approaches. And that's what this chapter is about. We learned already a few of them. Just on the concept of constricted consciousness and expansive consciousness, which is what this is really about. These meditations are not meant like that it's dafka, you have to stick with them the whole way through and so on, or through the whole meal. They're meant to be like a pinprick that opens your mind, that like opens you up from that constricted place. And there was there's a analogy, a metaphor from Reb Leibish Hundert Zatzal, who was the Rosh Yeshiva of Or HaNelam, the Breslov Yeshiva in Mea Shearim. He was like a huge link in the chain of Breslov Hasidus. He passed away in, I think, the late 1980s or early 90s. And he gave an analogy for constricted consciousness and expansive consciousness. He said, imagine your daughter is marrying your best friend's son, Bonagid, right? And it's the chasana, and everything's all set, and you're there, and you're at the like chasen's tish, and you each pour a glass of wine, and you clink glasses for l'chaim, and as you do it, the glasses break, right? So he says, Moichin the katnus, constricted consciousness, is to get all upset that, how could this be? And like, and Moichin the godless is like, come on, like who's worried about this? We're in a chasna right now. We're in this whole huge, unbelievable thing that's going on, right? So it's a very strong metaphor, right? Where are we putting our There's also a story like that with the Baal Shem Tov. Somebody once asked him, how can I come to consciousness of Hashem in my life? And the Baal Shem Tov took him on like a little nature hike up to the top of a mountain, and he said, what do you see? And he said, wow, it's so amazing. It's expansive. It's this whole 360 view of like gorgeous, Ukraine. And he says, okay, now put your hand over your eyes, and what do you see? No, Rebbe, I don't see anything. He says, you see what one tefach can do? One hand's breadth, right? Of just what you do, what basically we do to ourselves, that we blind ourselves. We blind ourselves to the greater context, right? So each of these meditations are to bring us to just a wider sense of what's going on. And each one can just help us wriggle free, get out of the straitjacket of whatever is irking us that day, or just stam the sort of sameness and so on. So we saw the first few last time. I'm not going to read them all out, but I'll just mention the theme. The first one was about remembering that Hashem is with us while we're eating, as against what the first thing that the serpent said is, did God forbid every single tree? And the Ishmael says, he was making Chava feel like the entire world is awesome. And this is like this huge thing that unfortunately we're still suffering from. And so just to know that God is with you while you're eating, just that, already so encouraging. The second one is about a sense of mission. I'm here to lift up the sparks, and be in that place of like doing and accomplishing this whole other mode. The third one was to believe that what you see is not what's really there. There's really these divine sparks. And this is this sort of, I called it like the trippy one. This one is like sort of like, whoa, looks like a piece of pizza, but it's like gewalt, like pieces of your soul, the deepest thing in the world, they're right there. And just like zone into that, right? The third one was about a kind of a crying out. That when I'm feeling far from faith, to ask, where is my faith? Where is my faith? Where is Hashem in this? One of Rabbi Nachman's big, incredible ideas, that the very urgency of the question and depths of how much I'm crying out in an amazing experiential, indescribable way that you can only know when you do it, the question itself becomes the answer. The very urgency of the cry, I sense my connectedness within it to God. It's an incredible thing. Then we're up to the next one, which is the third one on page Yud Aleph. Lo, and it's short. Lo lahafrid hamachal min Hashem yitbarach. Not to separate the food from God. Ela lahamin shebevadai ze chelek mi Hashem yitbarach. Rather to believe that surely this is a piece of Hashem. The way I'm understanding this one is al derech. There's a certain kind of an idea of like logic of faith, even though faith is supported by logic, but is itself not bound by logic. But once you know that you believe, there's a certain logic. For instance, Rabbi Nachman famously said, "Imata ma'amin sheyecholim lakalkel, ta'amin sheyecholim letaken." This incredible sentence that it's for whatever reason, for the same reason maybe that the websites and newspapers sell bad news much better than good news. We're ready to hear how we've messed up, We're all saying, Ani Mamin, that I messed it up, right? But Rabbi Nachman is saying there's a huge salvageable thing here, that the fact that you feel that you've broken things by the way you've acted is a sign of tremendous faith. Because if you actually just didn't have any faith, then it wouldn't matter what you'd be like, whatever, that we're just in a completely absurd existence with no meaning. And so whatever I do, what do you do, who cares? It's all, there is no underlying inherent ethical system at all. So you wouldn't be bothered by it, right? The fact that you're bothered in a deep metaphysical, theological, profound, essential, neshamadik way means that you actually have a very deep sense of your own soul and of God, and that there are mitzvahs and there really is a Torah and everything, right? And if you believe that, if you're ready to believe that part, well, it's not logical. You've got to also believe that the same system that describes all the breakings says that it can be fixed, right? That same system, yeah.
So, the Jewish people, we have the ability to shame and embarrassment.
Right. We're professional. Yeah, exactly. That's most what this is. Yeah.
Because we believe there is a right and wrong, and because we have a standard.
Mamish, that's exactly
Stuck in that place, but that's one of our crowning glories. Otherwise, people act like whatever. They don't feel ashamed.
Absolutely.
So what? I steal from somebody. It's no big deal.
Absolutely. So what the Rebbe is saying is, don't, and of course, when you really realize it, you're like, of course I don't want to do that. He's saying, like, don't rewrite the Torah, like, I'll keep all the parts of the Torah that say that Leibish has messed up, and I'll erase all the parts of the Torah that say you can fix it. Well, wait a second. You want the Torah, or do you want, like, the book of Leibish? Like, right? It's Gavaldic. It's mamish Gavaldic, right? And
you're a mess.
Yeah. I'm saying the shame I'm putting it on myself.
I understand.
I suffer from as much as anybody. Like with the best Hashem, we say I'll be healed. But I'm saying, like, we're ready to hear all the bad things about ourselves, and we're not ready. And so that's the tikkun. Is of course what I want is the Torah, not the book of Leibish, right? And it's true the Torah says when you do things wrong, it does cause destruction. The Torah doesn't not say that, it does say, but it also says you can always do tshuva, and that Hashem promises that we eventually will do tshuva, and Hashem loves you even while you're messing up, and so on and so forth. So that's imatam ma'amin, that recognizing that the feeling that you've messed up is a sign of faith, and that you now take that logically to the end. Once you have that faith, what are you believing in? Of course, I don't want to believe in the book of Leibish. I want to believe in the Torah. I want to believe in Hashem. So I just have to realize that all that kilkul, it has a whole second section of how to fix it, and so on. Okay. So here too, lahamin bevadai, like, don't separate the food from God, meaning, okay, I believe in God. Of course I believe in God, right? Do I believe this food is from God, that this food has divine, like, al kol motzapi Hashem yichya adam, like the pasuk says in the Chumash, that we should know that it's not, when we're eating, it's not just food, that it's the Dvar Hashem, that the neshama is getting something from it. That's part of what it means to believe in God. Like, do I have like a separation of like church and state in my mind? Like, who's God for me? Is it like is there like this like it's God? Yes, God is in everything except for what's on my plate. Like it's like, right? It's like God in everything, but of course, like, he left out the food that's coming to me because I'm not important. Right? So the thing is that this is a big thing. I'll just tell you, Reb Nathan, one time, he came into the Rebbe Nachman after the Slichas of Motzei Shabbos, pre-Rosh Hashanah. And the Rebbe had given over a whole Torah about, or maybe he gave it over right then, don't remember, about how the pasuk says in Va'era, the pasuk says, "V'lo shamu el Moshe mikotzer ruach v'avodah kasha." Remember this? That the Moshe came and told them possibly the most inspirational speech ever. He told them, "V'hotzeiti v'hitzalti v'gal." We're still drinking 4 cups from that speech, right? But guess what? It fell flat. Am Yisrael, like, didn't hear it. Now we hear it, like, for generations we hear it. We're still drinking wine from each of the Lashonos HaGeula. But when Moshe told it over to Am Yisrael, we were just too broken from the. And so the Rebbe said, Rabbi Nachman said, he said, Kotzer ruach v'avodah kasha. He says, Kotzer ruach means a lack of faith, and the lack of, because if you would have faith, then avodas Hashem would not feel like avodah kasha. This is this incredible thing, right? If you really would believe, then serving God would not feel like this heavy thing on you. I read Nathan when he heard this, freaked out, right? Rav Nassan like represents all of us, like he's like the chassid who's like was there and he's and goes through all the stuff that we. He also became an unbelievable tzaddik, but he also was like he was so real and vulnerable and expressive about it. So he said I forgot the exact. I should read it to you inside. In any case, he I think it's Sichas Haran Sicha Kuf Mem if you want to look it up. He was like he was like, but Rebbe, basically, I feel like my avodas Hashem is really hard, and I thought I was doing okay with my emunah, right? And the Rebbe said in Yiddish, "Oib du hast emunah, aber emunah in dir." How's it go again? I used to know this off by heart in Yiddish. I'm forgetting. And he said, if you have faith, but you're lacking faith in yourself. Right? This is a big part of this idea of what's going on over here. That Lola Frida Macham Hashem Yisbarach doesn't just mean food in general. I'm fine with believing that food is connected with God, but the food that comes to Leibish's plate, somehow but not that. So this thing of logically taking our faith to what it really is, like kind of realizing that we're living a contradiction and we don't want to live that. Like this is like this sort of this faith logic thing that we can like heal our faith by realizing that actually it doesn't make sense for us to be in this kind of stuckness and sort of believe this but not that when it's all part of one thing. So Rav Nassan in Sichas Haran, he records this back and forth he had with Rabbi Nachman, and then he says that really believing in yourself is not a separate idea from believing in God. He said, really, and if anybody wants, by the way, I have to forgive me for the self promotion. Yeah, if anybody wants to read a really dense and academic, long PhD thesis, this is was the center of my whole thesis, was about believing in yourself. And if you enjoy English, and you can most of my friends didn't read it because it's sadly to me, but the language is whatever. I had to write it in academic. It's basically whatever. It's like its own language, but it is readable. In any case, okay, l'chaim. So the Rabbi Nassan explains. He says they're not two separate things. That I have to believe that God is big enough to even care about me. Right? And this is the same kind of logical extension of faith. To believe in God, yes. Is God great? Yes, really great. Is he great enough to care about me? No. Wait a second. Right? Right? That's mamish the thing, right? That's so there's some work there to do, right? And you shouldn't feel embarrassed with this. This is like the work. This is, I think, possibly one of the most central things in our generation. I've spoken to a number of big rebbes and rabbanim about that. Self-esteem and believing in ourselves is really a core concept for us. That's why that teaching about treating yourself to something you delight in is such a breath of fresh air for our generation, and not just all the restrictive things like feeling Hashem's love, tactile in your life, affirming that the things that you enjoy can take you mamish up to the highest heavens. It's really incredible. So that's this thing, is this sort of the logic of faith, right? That's this meditation here. Lola hafrid hamachal Hashem Yisbarach. What's on my plate? Don't separate that from Hashem, right? Don't just only believe in general. believe in detail, because that's what belief really is. And there's work there to do. We ask Hashem for help with this, and so on. And maybe we need to like take a second and breathe or sing a niggun or something like whatever, however it needs to be. Okay, next one. This is this pasuk we saw from Tilim earlier, that the Baal Shem Tov speaking out hunger and thirst, that their soul wraps itself in what the Baal Shem Tov said, in the sparks of eating. That the appetite that brings you to food is to reconnect and unify your being with these sparks that are mamish, like a part of your soul mamish. That Hashem created food items and drink items that a person is going to have a desire for, have an appetite for. Is hungry and thirsty for them. Kevan. Why? Because nafsham bahem tis'atav, that my nefesh enwraps itself in it, in the food and drink. Kind of sheyesham nitzotot shel nafsho, there are sparks of my very soul. Shehu dafka tzarich letaken, that specifically you need to fix. In the Baal Shem Tov. This meditation, to my mind, to my understanding, is like an intellectual, sort of like a Kabbalistic, scientific outlook. Like, what is going on? What is this universe that we're in? What is eating about? What is this whole thing, right? And sometimes that kind of perspective can be what opens you up, right? That sometimes, like we have a lot of different parts of ourselves. And sometimes like our intellectual part has been like a bit neglected or whatever it is. And it's like, you want to put, put it on your glasses and your pencil over you're like, what is going on here? Yes, the spark, the thing, this is what eating is. Let's do it. Then you can sort of, sometimes that's mamish a way in, like a inquiry, intellectual kind of deeper understanding what it is. Like, food for the mind, you may say. Okay. Next one. Kol ma'achal sh'adam ochel, nishlach alav b'hashgacha. This one is, it's related to the intellectual thing we saw before, but this one is about experiencing this personally, that I'm being sent this food right now. Like we said, we saw from the Heilige Gemara Naim that shulchan is lashon shlichut, that the shulchan is like the shliach of the final story of this whole symphony of all the particular divine experiences through food and drink that's meant to reach each person, that it gets to the table and then there's like a serving platter and then like it sends it to each person exactly their portion, I have a memory of years ago by the Amshin of a Rebbe Shlita. About 4 a.m., 16th of Adar, Purim Suda. I was drunk out of my mind. I'd be like 2.5 days of mamish, 2.5 days of straight mamish drunkenness. This is like way back. This is like Purim 1999 or something like that. Like mamish 25 years ago. And all the Chassidim were there in the grandstand, and I got them all to sing a Shlomo niggun. And mamish got the whole place going on. I was so drunk I didn't care. And I was like a Barayin guy with like, Why walks away some sufa davu dava velo yakun ki himanu Mom's like, and the Rebbe comes out and he's making l'chaim to each person. First you give your name to him, and they said my name, like they're like a Leibish Hundert stot vine, like there's this whole unbelievable thing. And then afterwards, everyone files by at this point. It's whatever it is, 5 in the morning. I don't know how. And it's like, like way after Purim. It's like the 16th. It's like, And the Rebbe has this tray of salmon, probably about the size of this table, mamish, like just this huge tray. Like I don't know how many salmons are in there, like 6 or 7 entire fish, or like just filling the whole thing. And he come out to you, and he has this like, I think it was a plastic fork, and like it's like these little push at the plate, and he looks at you, and he like goes into the salmon and mamish, he takes like a specific piece. Mamish, it's like you get this like, whoa, like that was like, I hadn't learned much about this whole thing of shulchan shliach and nitzitzis and whatever, but everything that's being talked about here, I experienced then on that forum at 5 a.m. in Amsterdam. It's specific piece. It's like this, a little bit of the dark pink, a little bit of the light pink. Like some of the like darker part at the bottom. Like this, unbelievable. Woo! So there's this personal thing. So in other words, in the first one, the previous one we just read about is like understanding it intellectually. And sometimes like our minds, we have minds, like, and there's a great thing when you respect your mind and let it do its thing. And that can be what opens you up from the smallness to the greatness of consciousness. But this one is more the personal thing, that you're receiving this for you, just for your mom's like the Rebbe, like, look, the way that Amshinover looks into your eyes. Look, this penetrating, unbelievable. And then he like looks at the salmon. It's like, unbelievable. Mamish unbelievable. Mamish unbelievable. I shivers. I mamish have like goosebumps thinking about it. And this thought itself, that you remember that this very food, by love, it's coming to you personally, with Hashem's overseeing. This itself is going to lift up and fix the food, because you've revealed Hashem's existence within this food. Right, so this one is the personal experiential of like the singing telegram from God, right? That this is like specific to me, right? Specific, and that faith is itself what does the whole thing, what is the holiness of eating that we've been learning about. Next one. To think at the time of eating, that really in truth, Hashem Yisbarach Yachol Lekayim et Hadam Gam Lelo Machal. Really, Hashem can give existence to a person even without food, without eating. Just opening my email because I have a source in here. And Hashem doesn't need any middleman to give you life, right? We saw one of the most amazing psukim in the Chumash that it says about Moshe Rabbeinu, Arba'im Shana Lechem Lo Achal Mayim Lo Shata. Arba'im Yom, right? Arba'im Laila, right? That this unbelievable thing that he was offered 40 days and 40 nights, no food or drink. Hashem can just do that, right? Like the Torah says, Hashem can do that. Doesn't need for there to be food, right? But Hashem made the world in such a way that you need to eat. In order that a person will lift up through their eating, to lift up these fallen sparks that are in the food. And it's only because of that you need to eat. And through this thought, you can awaken to believe that it's all really sparks. Hainu, that is to say, this itself, that it seems to me, this is something we learned the last few weeks, something that the fact that it seems to me that it's the food that's giving me life energy, not God, chas v'shalom. That's the fallenness of the sparks, right? The fallenness is that it seems to be separate, that it seems to be this discrete thing and not related back up to God. Chas v'shalom. That's the fallenness of the sparks and the strengthening of the hiddenness. But by strengthening yourself to believe Hashem is giving you existence and life, and that it's not the food on its own. Not by bread alone does a man live. What comes out from the mouth of Hashem. So through this you lift up the sparks. So how is this a new thing? First of all, I just want to read you because he's quoted in here the Sefer Avodas Yisrael, Alexander Rebbe, in the name of Reb Zusha. So I emailed this morning the person who wrote up this kuntras, who his name is Rav Asher Zelig Margolius. He's an incredible person. He's an incredible person. And oh yeah. He's Rabbi Kivak's like right-hand man, kind of a thing. He sits when Rav Kivak gives shiur and types up every single word as he's talking. He gives shiurim. He gives like many shiurim, including he goes to Tel Aviv and gives shiurim. It's like unbelievable. He's an amazing man. Any case, so I emailed him, what's the source for this? And he emailed it back to me. So this is the Sefer Avodas Yisrael, Pirkei Avos, Perek Gimel, and it's on the pasuk about challah, about separating challah, in the end of Parashat Shlach, 2 weeks ago. That it says, when you come to the land that I'm bringing you to, it shall be when you eat from the bread of the land, and the pasuk says, you should lift up challah. You should give a portion of the dough to the Kohen. Romes. This is a hint. Reb Zusha said, Birtzoni selo lechol. Zusha said, or probably said, Zusha would rather not eat. And he would always refer to himself in third person. Zusha would rather not eat. Just not eat. But what can I do? Because my creator, may be blessed, is basically pretty much forcing me. That he made me a mouth. Surely Hashem only created his world to serve him. So then why did he make a mouth? That it has teeth and a tongue and all the things to eat with. Rather than here, there is also service of Hashem. Because everything, all matters of this world has in its spiritual essence that needs to be lifted up. It shall be when you eat from the better land. I know, even though it's like the simple pasuk is just contextual. When you're eating, lift up challah, right? Give challah to the Kohen. But if Zusha read it, I'm going to bring you to the land, and you're going to eat. Right? I'm bringing you there and bringing you in your existence such that you must eat, right? So this one, as opposed to the previous two, it's similar, but it's not the same. The first one, again, was this intellectual understanding that there's sparks and everything, and your mind gets excited and to be penetrating to the inner truth of what's really going on intellectually. Second one that we just saw was the personal receiving, the experiential personal receiving. This one is like an inquiry into the mechanics of eating. Why is there eating? What am I doing right now? What am I doing? And recognizing that Hashem made the universe in such a way that you've got to do this. So this is mandate from Hashem is to eat this food and be connected to the holiness of what's going on. So as opposed to also that previous one about the mission of lifting up the sparks, it's not just like there are these sparks, I got to get them. This is like there's this eating that I have to do, and just redefining your whole idea of eating, and that Hashem is like eat, like it's not much like like the Yiddish mama, like you look so thin. Oh, you must be hungry. Come and sit down. Like you must, like there's this place of like divine mamish. You got to do this. The mechanics, the process, the fact that you have a mouth, right? Okay, fine. Okay, the next one. Okay, the next one is a very, very big one. He really switching gears over here. And the next two are very related. We'll see if maybe we can do even three, because the third one is simple. At the time of eating, you can merit to come to gewaldige awareness of Hashem, fear of Hashem, of Hashem. And he says, V'yira means perish lizkor b'pashtus Hashem Yisbarach mistakel alav ka'es mamish, to remember simply that Hashem is looking at you right now, mamish. V'lo shachach mimeni, hasn't forgotten me. Ki ve'esh harosh asuk be'inyan acher, because when my mind is involved in something else, but nekel lishkoach mizah, I could easily forget this. Lachein davka az, means gaber lizkor miyos Hashem as ayachol lizkos. There's a davka when eating, as Rabbi Nachman says in two places. He quotes at the end here, ve'adarabba, the Iker Hayira. Rabbi Nachman says the essence of your of Hashem, of your awareness of God, it specifically comes to the person at the time of eating. And where do we get this? It's from the Zohar on Megillas Rus. That he said to her at the time of the eating, come close, right? And that at the time of eating is when we're the closest to the Shekhinah. The time of eating is this incredible thing where you are being nourished by Hashem. So there's one thing that we've spoken of up until now, the experience of the sparks, the sense of mission. It's a piece of me that's in there, my soul, and so on. Here, it's a focus, just that Hashem is giving me life right now in a very tactile way. And that brings you to the very mystery, we've spoken of this before, it brings you to the very mystery of your existence, that in this food is the mystery of my existential aloneness, my whole existence is mamish in this. And there's this pella that's going on. It's like you can come to such an incredible awareness of and again, and it just deepens the mystery, but the mystery gets closer to you. For some reason I'm thinking, I haven't thought of this in a long time, but many moons ago, I used to listen to Tori Amos, and he gets so he has this song, China all the way to New York. I can feel the distance getting close. The distance getting close. It's a kaval. Hashem is so maram b'kadosh shemoy. He's so beyond, but the distance gets close. There's this pele of the mystery getting closer. It's amazing. It's not like it resolves, and it's like our relationship with Hashem is so deep and so forever. But just tasting a little more of the mystery of it is so good. It's so good to just remember how beyond God is and how beyond it is to be alive. And it's the greatest. The distance gets close. Chas v'shalom, the distance shouldn't be distant. Chaim.
Existential aloneness means only I can experience the
eating.
Me alone.
Yeah, not just the eating, but no one can experience being you. Even your husband, even like you are you. You're like, it's so deep, and only Hashem is with you there, right? And it's mysterious. It's mysterious, yeah. And somehow in that falafel is some of that. Mamish, it's really for real. Mamish, There's a story that Rabbi Nachman it was a Friday night, I think, and he was saying Torah, and every time he said, after he finished, the Chassidim would bring another course. And then he'd say Torah again, and they'd bring more food. And Torah again and bring more food. And the Rebbe said, I'm trying to eat to be simple yid, that my eating is to have the strength to learn. But you Hasidim, you keep upping the ante. That our learning is to know how to eat.
Our learning is what?
To know how to eat. Right? He kept saying Torah after the food. He's like, okay, we'll end with this. And they would bring more food. It's like, fine. Yeah. Right. Like there's one level, okay. Right, that all my eating is have the strength to learn. That's the simple level. But the higher level is all of my learning is all mamish get the experiential of mamish eating, which is a mamish ziv Hashem yichud, like we said from the Morenayim. It's a yichud you can literally see. It becomes flesh of my flesh. It becomes and soul of my soul become part of your nefesh. Actually, incredible. Okay, so then he says in this parentheses, surely in awareness and awe of Hashem, there are levels, many levels. To the point where you're like literally like afraid like Hashem is right there. The simple thing is just Hashem is paying attention to me, and this eating experience is part of what Hashem is doing, is feeding Leibish right now. And even the time of constricted consciousness, these gaber to do your best to be strong, to believe there is such a thing as this. So this one I kind of labeled like opportunity, like to recognize that the eating is, like Rabbi Nachman says, in two places. Does he bring them here, or I thought he brought them here? In any case, it's in two places. In the bottom, the last little parentheses, Torah number 7 in the second section, and Torah 77 also in the second section of Likutei Moharan. That's where the Rebbe says both places that Iker Hayira, the essence of your yira, comes to you when eating. And then we'll just do the next two quick. And if it seems to a person that the sense of awe of Hashem is far from me, that the distance is distant, right? That's what I'm coining that phrase. Atato, what's the Eitzah? She's takel hetei batzmo. Realize that you do have some yira already. How so? You're careful. You have yira. You don't want to be eating food that's not kosher. I'm definitely worried and afraid. I don't want to eat something that's treif. Any kind of food that's not kosher. And why is that? Just because of Hashem's mitzvah. So there is already some yira at your meal, a baseline thing that I'm keeping kosher. And that yira is there in that food that you checked it out and you made sure it was kosher, right? And by connecting with that thought, so this is like a sort of these two are very related to each other. Like there's the opportunity of yira, and then he's saying, and if you're having a hard time finding the yira, recognize you already have some yira just in the fact that you're taking care to be kosher. When you connect yourself, you'll see that it can be very simple to come to yira. You're already a shtickle connected. You're eating food that has a head. And we'll end with this last one, which is possibly my favorite one because it's the simplest one, is the Pashtus, just see simply, Chesed Hashem. They're like, don't take it for granted. Like, something could have happened that you wouldn't be able to eat. I had that experience a couple of weeks ago. I got my stomach got all messed up. I couldn't hold food down. It was a very difficult day. And I didn't eat except like some water for almost 2 days. Yeah, it was intense. And I had pneumonia at the same time. It was a crazy time. And a bruised rib. Any case, and a fever. Any case, it was very tense. So any case, Baruch Hashem came out of it. And so really, thank you, Hashem, right? That simple thing, right? Sometimes that's the key out of the constricted consciousness. Chesed Hashem, sheshalach lo Michael Zeh. Thank you, Hashem, for the level. That it worked out specifically that here I am with this food, right? I was just like this is sometimes that's all we need. Just the basic, and then that totally reorients the whole thing, and then you're more present. Chaim, 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 Chaim. Chaim, Chaim. All right.